traded my perfectly healthy genitals for an artificial 1-inch tunnel.
There's a lot of changes that are permanent that I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life.
It's not what you think.
What's up, everybody? My name is Amir, Odom, and welcome back to my channel. A couple of quick things. One, welcome to the new studio. I told myself when I reached 100,000 subscribers I would take some time to reorganize some things, and I definitely did that. And hope you guys like it. This is like my vibe, very minimal, clean couch, light, got my table with all my books, all my festival bands that I've gone to, basic artwork from Target, but you know, I love hiking, I love the trees, so I had to get that. And two, I'm wearing glasses. I normally don't. These are blue light glasses. I have laser eye surgery, so I have perfect vision. However, I do suffer from chronic dry eye, always have. And my eyes are going through a flare up right now, so I have on my glasses just to ease all the blue light and just wind hitting my eyes. It's just extra. But with all that being said, in today's video, we're going to be talking about detransitioners. I'm going to highlight a couple of these detransitioning stories because I'm tired of being told that detransitioners are not a thing. I'm tired of being told that this is a small, minute population of trans people, and I just really think that their stories need to be heard. Because I've said this time and time again, it's not so much that people are against transgenders, it's just a matter of people being against children transitioning because of the amount of people that are coming out that are detransitioning. So let this be known now, there is zero ill will, there is zero hate towards anybody in the trans community. The fact of the matter is that there are people that regret transitioning that did start this process when they were a teenager. I'd much rather wait till they're an adult to make these decisions instead of having a pharmaceutical company and their parents make these decisions for them. Because that's another thing too. We say, oh, well, that's the parent's choice. That's their kid. Okay, well, a parent is not allowed to beat their child. CPS gets called. So all of a sudden, if you got a parent beating their child, they get CPS called on them. But if you have a parent taking the kid in to get their breast chopped off or get it, you know, all these different type of surgeries or get life-changing shots and injections, all of a sudden that's fine. It makes no sense to me. So we're going to shine light on this topic. We're going to talk about these detransitioners, and we're just going to get right into it.
My name is Ash, and I am a detransitioner. I recently made a little video on this topic, not really explaining much of it, and got quite a bit of backlash in my comment section, so I just want to come on and share my story. And some of you guys, you're gonna hate me for this, but I need to speak the truth. And I don't care what you say in my comments, I'm not gonna turn my comments off. Growing up, I didn't really show any signs of gender dysphoria. I was perfectly happy with my body and being a girl, and of course I was uncomfortable with, like, puberty and stuff, but that was for other reasons. Every girl is uncomfortable with their changing body. And when I was 13, I started to struggle a lot with depression, anxiety, that sort of stuff. I spent a lot of time on the internet, specifically TikTok, way more than I should have, rather than going out in the real world, especially with COVID and everything else that was going on. Now, at the time, there were a million videos of all these trans people coming out, and because I was so unhappy with myself and who I was, I thought that that might be what was wrong with me, and I convinced myself that that's what was wrong with me, and that's what would fix me. And I went really far to pass as a male, to the point where nobody that I knew that I was born a female. Here's a little picture of me from that time, had the facial hair and everything. When I first transitioned, I really didn't have any issues with my body, but as I went on, I realized that I needed to fit into this box if I wanted to be a male, and because of how my body did not fit into that box, I became increasingly more uncomfortable with it.
This happens so much, especially when you're a teenager. You're trying to find your tribe. You're trying to find your community, and far too often we realize that our personalities and who we are as people and as a person, we're unique. We don't fit in boxes all the time. Like when I came out the closet and I realized I was gay, I flew out that closet. I'm talking rainbows, mannerisms, super feminine, drag show, like all of it. I jumped right into the gay culture because I felt like that's what I had to be because I was gay, instead of going back and focusing on, oh, I'm Amir first. I am me, and I am an individual, and that's what matters most. And that's what you all should be doing too, not sitting here doom scrolling on another app convincing yourself that you belong in this community when in reality you're just figuring out your identity because you're going through a rough time, which is teenage years. I mean, shit, I think back to 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm drastically different than what I was back then. Completely different people, because I'm at that age where I'm exploring my identity, I'm figuring out who I am, and that's okay, and that should be accepted for kids, but let's leave it at that. I have no problem with teenagers exploring how they're dressing. I have no problems with teenagers, you know, being tomboys, tomgirls. That's not the issue. The issue is when we're doing irreversible damage to these teenagers. When you're giving them double mastectomies, when you're giving them injections that's changing their voice and making them grow facial hair, when you're doing these things that's forever harming their bodies, just for how they're feeling in that moment. You're putting a band-aid on an identity crisis. It's like, just let the kid go through that crisis and they're going to figure it out. When they're an adult to actually transition, then so be it. I have nothing wrong with trans people. This whole video, there's nothing wrong with trans adults. You do you. I have trans friends. I don't care. You're a grown adult. Do you. What I care about is the children that are being misguided and misled and to believe that, yes, this is me. I have to get surgeries. I have to get the shots. I have to transition. When in reality, you're just figuring out your personality, and that's okay. But I don't think the introduction to life-altering medicines is the answer.
It wasn't gender dysphoria. It was me trying to fit myself into a box that I simply didn't fit into. In a way, I sort of brainwashed myself into thinking that I had gender dysphoria. And naturally, this brought me into a really bad place mentally, where I started struggling with drugs, self-harm, suicidal ideation, all that stuff. And I assumed this was because I wasn't male enough, but it was really because I wasn't a male at all. I got on testosterone when I was 15 years old, and the thing that I think is absolutely wild is that I went to one appointment before I was given my prescription. One. You might be thinking, oh, well, they probably asked you a ton of questions. Nope. They barely asked me anything. I basically walked in there and was like, I'm trans, and they were like, okay.
And more trans people are saying this. I'm tired of this myth and this debate that, oh, it's not happening at a large scale. Oh, you have to go through 2 years of therapy and this and that. No.
I was on testosterone for about 6 months, and luckily it didn't affect me super bad. I can still talk in a higher range and pass as female. Of course, there's a lot of changes that are permanent that I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life. After about 2 years of living as a male, I realized I was wrong. But I didn't come out about that right away. I stayed living as male for another year before I really finally decided that I needed to do this.
And what kills me is that, no shade, no ill will, but you can tell that, like, it's something's happened. You know, you can tell it's not 100% female. You can tell that there were some things that were changed in the voice and how they look. That's never going to change. As much as they're going to try, there's things that you can do, of course, but you can't go back from it. And that's the core of the issue, is you can't go back. If you want to do it as an adult, that is fine, but damn, these kids shouldn't be making decisions like this. This shouldn't be a thing. And that's not hateful. There's no ill will. It's not being rude. It's literally just paying attention to and highlighting these people who are detransitioning and have gone through these exact things.
And it was one of the most scary things that I ever did. I've faced so much backlash. I've found it that people are so quick to accept trans people, but so quick to criticize detransitioners. Once I detransitioned, all my mental problems were gone. I'm happy. That was my issue. The fact that I'd convinced myself that I was a dude.
And that's the sad part too, is that you have all these people that are detransitioning and then they're exiled from the community just for highlighting something that they are going through. Because they feel like, oh, you detransitioned, you don't like trans people, you detransition, that means you're gonna make us all look bad. It's like, they detransition because it's a real thing that's being pushed on children. It's a real thing that people are being misled with. And they're highlighting their story, and I'm glad they're highlighting their story, because it's not all peaches and cream. It's a lifetime worth of doctor visits that you're subscribing to, surgeries, things that can go wrong. And y'all, like, we've gotta stop.
My name is Max. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a
Hey Max, my name is Austin. I am that 40-year-old detransitioner that you say you'll never be. And I want to say that I also thought when I was your age that I would never ever detransition either, that I 100% knew who I was then, there, and I would always be unfalteringly unchangeable. I really believed that. I transitioned really young too, but obviously in a much different time, and a much different socioeconomic bracket than what I kind of perceive you to have grown up in. And that's no shade, that's just the real tea. But I think it's really dangerous for you to come on TikTok and say that people shouldn't listen to the detrans movement just because you may or may not disagree with some of our politics, or may not ever see yourself detransitioning. I saw you kind of backpedal a little in your response stitch to Lucy, and it just has me a little bit confused because, truthfully, if gender is a spectrum, why do we have to try to change anything? Why can't you just be you?
That is such a good point. If gender is a spectrum, you keep telling me that men can be women and women can be men, then what's the point of even transitioning in the first place? To be trans is to transition from one thing to another, but on the flip side, you have people in the same community telling me that it's a spectrum and you can be whatever you want to be.
Why are you pushing so hard? Not you specifically, but why is like big trans pushing so hard to make sure that children are medicalized. Like, you have no idea what 20 plus years of HRT will do to your bladder or your endocrine system or your urethra. I do. It's not what you think. It has irreversible side effects and damages. Puberty blockers are not reversible. They're absolutely not reversible. I know that's the big narrative that they are, but everyone I've ever talked to that's on it, your puberty never comes back correctly. You're always stunted. Um, it's not like we're some cabal of detrans people that want to hurt trans people. No, I still feel like I will always be a trans person. So no one is going to take that right from me to speak of that, to speak to my truth and just share like what 20 plus years of trans identity can do to a person. It's not all perfect. It's not all easy peasy. Life gets harder and harder and harder. Now, I think that when you're female to male, maybe your experience will be different from a male to female. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I come from a time when there was so much more internalized and externalized homophobia out in the world, but that's not the case anymore. America has accepted gay people and lesbian people and trans people, and right-wing people don't want to, kill you or cause a genocide. Like, that's absolutely not true. What we want is to make sure that children are old enough to make informed consent. And you can't do informed consent if you are unable to be informed about lifetime effects. So God love you and God bless.
Amazing. Because it's so true, and it's such a good point in that it's a lifetime of side effects. It's a lifetime of drug prescriptions. It's a lifetime commitment that people need to be made aware of. It's not shits and giggles like, oh, I'm trans, let me go get surgery and do this and that. No, it's really hard stuff. It's a huge commitment. One that children cannot make. You tell me to listen to trans people, I'm going to listen to trans people. Here are the trans people I'm listening to, okay? Does this negate the people who actually do transition? No. They're real people that do transition as adults. Hold on, let me read this. Do y'all think detransitioners are aware that they could detransition privately without becoming a strawman for conservatives? I'm glad you had your journey and all, but you don't gotta kick us in the shins on your way out the door. That's the problem. I'm not trying to use these people as a straw man. I'm trying to just highlight something that you're actively hiding. When it comes to the children, that's why we bring up the people that detransition, because they're doing life-changing things on the people before they even have the right to really think about it and decide if that's something they really want to do. Like, I'm tired of this idea that there's always some negative agenda that's coming from more conservative talking points just for bringing up people who detransition. From highlighting detransitioners to highlighting other prominent voices in the gay community, it's as if we're always trying to do something bad when in reality, I'm just highlighting the voices that are unheard. I'm highlighting the opinions that I think need to be shared. Like, just because I talk about masculine gay people doesn't mean I have any ill will towards anyone that is a feminine gay person and that I have some type of internalized homophobia. Being gay doesn't mean I'm against being masculine and that I think everything should be feminine. No, I'm fine with masculinity and having testosterone run through my veins. In fact, I think being a man and the testosterone that's within us is what led us to where we are today. And just because I'm attracted to the same sex does not mean that I don't value traits such as strength, resiliency, and leadership that come with masculinity and more conservative values. Many gay men, like myself and maybe even you, strive hard to embody these masculine traits in order to use them and contribute to society in a beneficial way. And truly, the one thing that concerns me the most about, all this top talk of masculinity and femininity and testosterone, what bothers me is that the more chemicals that are introduced to our bodies and to this planet, we're seeing some really weird stuff happening to our bodies. Testosterone levels have been dropping drastically over the past few decades. From 2004 to 1987, they've seen a 17% drop in testosterone. And not to mention sperm count over the last 50 years, that's becoming at an all-time low for potency as well. Luckily, Black Forest Supplements offers a solution for all of us. Specifically, their Sustanch with Tonkat Ali supplement. This powerful combination taps into ancient wisdom with modern science. Sustanch tuberosa is a desert plant and is known for supporting healthy testosterone levels, in addition to promoting energy and boosting strength. Paired with the Tonkat Ali, which is also an herb known for its testosterone boosting abilities, it's truly a game changer for men looking to revitalize themselves, their vigor, and their energy. And their website is easy to navigate, in addition to their plethora of 5-star reviews that you can read through to get other people's experience as well. And not only just that, but you also get a money back guarantee with your purchase. And for women, I highly recommend recommend their NMN supplement that they offer, which has been labeled one of the best anti-aging supplements in the world. So honestly, right now is a perfect opportunity for you to take advantage of 20% off utilizing code Amir. It's time to reclaim our masculinity, uphold traditional values, and stay true to who we are as people. So if you're interested, don't forget to check the pinned comment and the link below in the description.
I'll never have my breast back. A reconstruction will do nothing for me, and it might make things worse actually, because I've had some complications pop up this year with the grafts. I have to cover them up with bandages, or else they'll. I don't know what's going on with them. I tried to consult my surgeon about it, and he didn't really investigate. He gave me advice that made the complications worse even, and actually temporarily gave me an infection. But I have to bandage up every day so that it doesn't like leak all over my clothing or bedding. And
Jesus.
From the hormones and blockers, I've been experiencing some joint pains, mainly in my arms, my legs, and my back. And
Yep.
I still have issues with my urinary tract. I have to use the restroom pretty frequently, and I didn't even know that this was possible. This is like a pretty huge quality of life issue that I'm experiencing, and I'm just not really getting any help for it. And on top of that, I do hate to speak about it, but I'm experiencing sexual dysfunction at the age of 18. That's something that women usually go through when they're in their 40s to 50s.
Right.
How is I supposed to know?
I don't know what to say. People bring up, and we talked about this in the Jubilee video that I was in. People bring up this discussion, this argument that, oh, there's not that many detransitioners, there's not that many kids going through this. One is enough. One is enough, okay? At some point in the United States, there were enough car crashes to where, as a whole, we said, you know what, pause, we need to mandate seatbelts. We just need to mandate seatbelts. Where is that line for us? How many children will have to be like her for us to sit back and say, okay, actually, maybe a kid can't make a decision this ingrained. Maybe, much like drinking, much like voting, much like getting a tattoo, we should not allow it for minors. And watching that video, that's enough for me to make this whole video. That's enough for me to make this content. That's enough for me to speak out against things like this because of someone's story like that. People say, oh, I mean, it's not happening. There aren't double mastectomies for minors. It is happening, okay? And I don't understand why people, when you bring these topics up, they get angry about it. What is there to get angry about? It's the truth. It's just a matter of what it is. I'm not being hateful towards trans people. It's not that I don't want them to exist. It's that, hey, there's literally people who regret it. There's people who, and I'm not saying everybody in this video that did transition regrets it. That's their own words. Some of them say they don't regret it. I don't see how, like, that's abuse. I look at that the same way as a parent beating their child. I don't care if that's a parent, that's a decision they want to do. We can call out when something's wrong. And calling out it being wrong does not make me hateful. It doesn't. if anything, I feel, and I think that's the confusion, a lot of the people that are, because there are some people that are completely transphobic, homophobic, I get it, them the fringes. But your day-to-day human, the reason we're seeing all of this, this conversation rise and become more popular is because the people that respect the trans community, but also want to protect people like this, they get shunned, they get pushed away. And that's who I'm speaking for. That alone just fires me up to continue to make content and be the change that I wish to see, and urge you guys to be vocal in your own beliefs as well, because that's absurd for a child to go through.
Hi, my name is Shape. I started identifying as transgender at 22 while still in college. Before that, I was just a feminine gay man. Being asked about my pronouns led me to research transgender ideology, and pretty quickly I got convinced that I was transgender woman. I was able to get hormones relatively easily through Fenway Health and was only on them.
And just to be clear, again, this person is a consenting adult that's talking about this. So in this situation, it's on Shape to make that decision and transition. But I think she's going to talk about how she wanted to detransition and why even at her age, it's still confusing. So she can only imagine how confusing it is for children. But I didn't want to make that note.
For a year before receiving facial feminization and breast augmentation surgeries at 23. Taking hormones actually worsened my mental health, but therapists thought that it was because I was stuck in the wrong body. They cleared me for sex reassignment surgery by diagnosing me with gender identity disorder. Immediately after SRS, I was super excited to start a new life. I was happy for a few months while recovering. However, soon I realized that my new part wasn't what doctors promised me. My new vagina started constricting despite rigorous dilation, which resulted in me developing vaginal stenosis. This left me unable to have penetrative sex, which adversely impacted my mental health. I also lost my sex drive, my motivation to achieve anything, and became brain fogged and lethargic. I had multiple unsuccessful revisions attempting to get a few inches of new vaginal tunnel. I even had colon vaginoplasty. The last revision was at the University of Miami by Dr. Christopher Sargato in 2018, and it left me with a colorectal fistula. I've been all over the country trying to seek help, but I have received none. Earlier this year, after hitting rock bottom with my depression, I reached out to a new...
I'm just shook. I'm like, got the heebie-jeebies. That's entirely too much. And see, it'd be one thing if I seen on these trans activists and people pushing for trans kids highlighting this aspect and saying, yes, you want to be a transition, you want to be like Dylan Mulvaney type, all those people. If they talked about that, that'd be interesting. But they don't. As far as I've researched, no one talks about this. This is...
therapist. This therapist helped me realize that I have complex PTSD from a traumatic childhood, and also pointed out that I have body dysmorphia, OCD, borderline personality, and bipolar disorders. I also realized I had internalized homophobia. I realize now that medical transition was sold to me as a hardware fix for software issues. A few months ago, I started detransitioning by taking testosterone.
A hardware fix for software issues. Damn.
However, it is traumatic to be on testosterone without having functional genitals. Moreover, my back hurts every day due to osteoporosis and scoliosis that I developed post-SRS. I'm now dependent on synthetic hormones for life. I traded my perfectly healthy genitals for an artificial 1-inch tunnel that is sexually non-functional. I realized that I'm never getting back a functional penis, and full detransition is not really possible in my case. I feel stuck in surgically created body. I believe nobody under 18 should be allowed to medically transition. Sex reassignment surgery should only be allowed in very rare cases after a full psych evaluations. Patients should be made aware that what they're really getting is a cosmetic surgery, and it's a general approximation surgery that does not change biological sex.
Damn. Wow. We've gone through this video and we've seen so many adults and all their complications and all their concerns and all their worries. This is why people have a problem with trans kids. This is literally it. Like, this is it. It's so much more than just being, oh, I'm a boy or oh, I'm a girl. There's a lifelong, it's a journey, truly, that we're signing children up for, and it's just not right. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. That was incredibly eye-opening, even for me, to be able to see and hear the stories of these trans people and the things that they're going through, because I feel like far too often we're not getting to hear this side of things because it's so suppressed by the own trans community, and there's not a lot of gay people, trans people out there that are highlighting this narrative. So I'm glad I'm able to give it a platform and we're able to see the dark reality that does come with transitioning. Again, thank you to Black Forest Supplements for sponsoring this video. There are links you can find right below the like button. Thank you all for sharing my content, subscribing. We're past 100K. I got a whole new studio. This is only the beginning, and I'm so glad that you're here along the ride. Thank you to my wonderful supporters and my Discord community. We have so much fun talking, hanging out, doing live streams. It's just a complete blast. And you know, that video just threw me off so much mentally, but I hope that you all are having a great day, that your week has been well, that you understand that no one can change your life but you. And I hope that you're going out there doing the things you need to do to become the best version of yourself, and that you know you can be. Believe in yourself, go after your goals and dreams, and know that you got this. It's called going through it for a reason. You're not stuck there. You're going to survive. With that being said, much love. And as always, I will catch you in the next video. Deuces.